So then what I would do is just to be sure and pierce them with either a fork or a knife like this, so they don't explode on you in the oven. I probably don't need to do that with cutting them in half, but I will. And I usually just throw them in the oven when they're whole. And you can see I've got them on a piece of parchment. When you pierce them, even when they're whole, since there's so much sugar in the sweet potato, it will leak out. And I put the parchment paper on there just to keep things a little more clean. Since I did cut it, I'm going to put just a little bit of olive oil on it. I don't do this when I keep them whole. And I'm just going to put it in the oven at 350 degrees. I'm not sure how long it's going to bake, so I'll keep on checking it. So I'm going to do some mashed potatoes, some for dinner that I'm doing tonight, and then some to freeze, to put away in the freezer. I'm going to try and do that this Thanksgiving and Christmas and make the potatoes ahead of time and then pull them out of the freezer. And then either heat them up in the oven or in a crock pot. I've always had pretty good luck making them the day before and then putting them in the crock pot on like Thanksgiving Day, putting them on the low setting for 2 to 3 hours, and then they're nice and hot and perfect by the time it's dinner time. Now the rest of these I am going to put into a freezer bag and freeze, and when I need them, then I will pull them out, defrost them, and I can either microwave them to heat them up or I can put them in the crock pot. divide them up, probably take a little more than half of them and put them in a Ziploc bag and put them in the freezer. And then on the day that I want to use them, I'll take them out of the freezer and let them thaw, and then right before serving, about 10 minutes before serving them, I'll put them in a 350-degree Fahrenheit oven for about 10 minutes just to warm them up. I'm getting ready to make apple pie, and I'm not going to bake it right now. I'm going to get it all prepped and put it in the freezer for what I would like to do for Thanksgiving or Christmas, or even to have in the freezer if we had unexpected company. So here you have cranberry sauce made in the crock pot. Okay, and that's gravy. I'm just going to put it in an airtight container. So I'm just going to put this in the refrigerator until we need it tomorrow. So we're going to have our Thanksgiving dinner tonight. So the day of Thanksgiving, I like to pull out the things that I have been cooking for the month and freezing. We've got the apple pie there, and the pigs in a blanket there, the rolls, and the mashed potatoes, the stuffing, and the pumpkin cake roll, and the sweet potatoes. So all of this is going to thaw for a couple of hours. I also have the spinach dip gravy and cranberry sauce, which I will keep in the refrigerator until our meal is closer to being done. I will put the mashed potatoes in my crock pot to heat up. I'll heat the pigs and the stuffing and the yams, or sweet potatoes, in the oven. I think I'm going to put the pumpkin cake roll in my refrigerator while it thaws, and I'm going to get the apple pie ready to bake now. So I didn't realize I didn't press start. So this pie has cooked at 400 for 15 minutes, and I've turned the oven down to 350 degrees now, and put our crumb topping that's been in the freezer on top of it and packed it down. It's kind of a little precarious there. but pack it down the best you can. I didn't use all of it. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in for 30 minutes and then check it at that point and see if the apples are done, if the top's browning. Well, I think this is done. It's cooked for about 50 minutes on 350. It looks good, it smells good, and it feels like the apples are cooked inside. So we're going to call it done. I sprayed my crock pot with some cooking spray. And now I'm putting the frozen mashed potatoes in there. And since they're still pretty frozen, I'm going to turn it on high. And I'm going to go ahead and add my frozen sweet potatoes. Let them start thawing. I'm just going to add some salt and pepper and some brown sugar and pancake syrup to those, and then bake them to heat them up. So I've unwrapped the stuffing and I'm going to put that in the oven. It's a couple of hours before we want to eat, but it's still frozen too, and I'm not sure how long it's going to take. Here are my yams or my sweet potatoes, and I'm just going to put a little bit of olive oil on those. You can put butter on them. That's what I used to do. Would probably be better, but put a little bit of olive oil on, and some salt and pepper, a little bit of syrup. You can use 100% maple syrup if you like. And some brown sugar. You can add a little bit of cinnamon to this as well. I'm going to go ahead and add my pigs in a blanket about 10 minutes before I want to serve them at 350. I have a burner on my stove that just goes to warm, and so I'm going to add the gravy that I made yesterday to a saucepan. And just put a cover on it and put it on warm for a couple of hours. My potatoes are looking disturbing, but they'll come together after they've completely thawed, and I'll stir them up good and they'll be just fine. Here's Here's the warmed up pigs in a blanket. They're ready to be served. Here's dessert, pumpkin cake roll and apple crunch pie. And I have some whipped cream that I froze in little single serve portions, and I'll pull that out when we're ready to serve the pie. For appetizers, we have the pigs in a blanket and the spinach dip that I made earlier or the day before. And you can serve that with tortilla chips or baguette slices, wheat thins, or Triscuits would be good as well. The potatoes are looking good. I stirred them really well. They're still a little icy. I may turn them down to low for the rest of the cooking time. The potatoes are perfect after 2 hours. Maybe it was longer than 2. Now I can't remember. But I started out on high and then stirred it real well and then left it on low. So I'm just gonna, I don't have a warm setting on this crock pot, so I'm just gonna leave it on low. We're gonna eat in about an hour. So those look really good. And the gravy's warming. I haven't stirred it yet, but it's doing just fine. Stuffing came out of the oven and that looks fine. It always shows up, the sausage always shows up burned and gross looking on camera, but it's really good. I like it when it's toasty on top. This is the cranberry sauce that I made in the crock pot, and it's really good. It's really thick. Cranberries have so much natural pectin in them. You might not want to cook it as long as I did. That might be why it's so thick, but I like it this way. The other thing is it didn't make very much. If you're having a crowd, if you're having a lot of people that like cranberry sauce, you might want to double that recipe. For me, this is enough. I'm the only one that eats it, and maybe my daughter sometimes. Sweet potatoes are done. This may not look great to you, but it looks delicious to me. And I can add more syrup if I want to. And like I said, you can put butter on it if you want. I wanted to keep it vegan, so I just put a little bit of oil on it. But that looks great to me. I'm excited. And we have our rolls here that have thawed. When we get ready to eat, I'll pull them out. And tonight we're having this with we're having all of these Thanksgiving side dishes with a pork roast. And that's almost done. It just has 10 minutes left to go. So here we have everything. The pork loin, the sweet potatoes that we froze and then heated up in the oven with cinnamon, brown sugar, and maple syrup. The cranberry sauce that we made in the crock pot. The potatoes that we made a month ago and froze and heated up in the crock pot. With the gravy that we made yesterday and heated up on the stove. And the stuffing that we made and froze and then heated up in the oven, a roll, and gravy over the potatoes, stuffing, and pork loin. And there we have an easy Thanksgiving meal that you can make up to a month ahead of time and freeze, and then heat up the day of your meal. This is the first piece of pie out of the pan, so it did not come out very pretty. But I topped it with the whipped cream that I froze a month or so ago in the individual servings. And so that came out good. So thank you for watching this video. I hope it made sense of how you can make things ahead of time and freeze them for Thanksgiving or Christmas or any other time you want a little bit of freedom in the kitchen when you're having a big meal. Thank you for joining me. Bye.